welcome to the Bronx Buzz, BronxNet's program that talks to reporters and writers and editors and sometimes filmmakers and photographers. And I say that advisedly because in our second segment, we are going to talk to a well-known journalist who became a photographer, a photojournalist. We'll do that in our second segment. But in our first segment, we bring on a guest we have not had before. His name is Sam Turvey. He recently retired from the TIAA, which is the Teachers Insurance and Annuity Association of America, where he served as a managing director in the firm's legal department. But he has and had something very direct to say about Penn Station, which is what we're going to talk about. Nice to see you, Sam. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So just a little bit about your background and why you have had particular interest, and on your website and everything, you're really about this Penn Station overhaul. So what got you from where you are to, or where you were to, being really interested in this project?
Well, I think it's a fewfold. I love New York City. I've lived and worked in every borough. Now I cheated. I was born on Staten Island, so I had a little bit of advantage on some folks on that. But I also commuted in and out of New York City for a large part of my working life, and found those commutes, whether right through the Port Authority bus terminal or Penn Station, to be soul crushing, particularly when you compare them to Grand Central Station. And when I learned that there was a movement afoot to address Penn Station, I dug in and learned more. And I came to learn that the proposals that were being made, I felt really missed the mark and missed the opportunity to really do great things for the whole region. And I thought, the public was not being heard at the volume that they should be. And I decided, I'm done various public-minded work throughout my career, even when working in corporations and the like, and said, I'm going to dedicate myself to this because I think it's the single greatest opportunity or the single greatest land use decision in the New York metropolitan area, probably in a century. And I could explain.
Wow. Frankly, I read the op-ed piece that you did in City Limits, and that's what inspired this conversation. So, of course, I read that, and it got me to do a little research about the project and how it's being planned. Just the thought of moving Madison Square Garden again was really striking to me, especially because I always hailed that project, where it's at now, as a real victory, because the Dolans paid for it all privately, unlike Yankee Stadium and Citi Field and the Meadowlands stadiums that all got all kinds of tax breaks and public money. He paid for it himself, and now you're going to go to let's start there. Now you're going to say to Dolan, you got to move, or we're moving it for you, after he renovated, and it's really, frankly, very nice inside. So let's start there. Is this realistic that we're going to find another spot for Madison Square Garden?
Well, they could easily find another spot for it, and it has moved 4 times before. And when Marilyn Monroe sings "Happy Birthday to President Kennedy," it wasn't in that Madison Square Garden. It was up on 8th Avenue, and there's a rail yard site sitting there waiting for it to go over there on the west side. And so I'd say a couple of things. One is, look, unlike Yankee Stadium and Shea Stadium, and this is not the Dolan's fault, but Madison Square Garden sits on top of the most important and strategic transit site in New York City. More people go through that site than any other transit site. It's the largest transit hub in the Western Hemisphere. And do you really want this city to have a second-class subterranean, poor subway station type thing there?
Underneath the world's most famous arena.
Well, look, I was Knicks season ticket holder for 30 years, and nobody loves the 2 championship teams more than I do. I saw them play. But I think, the Garden is an interior experience, and it's a Manhattan experience. And so I think as long as it stays in Manhattan, you can replicate the magic of it. Now, when you say he just spent $1 billion on it, well, he took a risk. That's like he doesn't have every right in the world to stay in that location. There are permits and tax breaks that he gets to be there. And he was given 10 years to find another location. He's well connected enough that he said, skip that. I'm going to put $1 billion in the building. And there are people who now argue, both he and on his behalf, that since he spent $1 billion, it shouldn't make him move. Well, that's putting a poison pill out
Interesting.
there to the public. He was supposed to be thinking about moving, and he actually was. I believe, was actually in serious talks with the related people about the Hudson Yards
Right.
location. Governor Hochul came in and is so anxious to get this project running and doesn't want Roth and Ross related over on the west and Roth and the east to be fighting with each other over who gets the benefits of Madison Square Garden. So she
All
put
right.
the whole thing to bed. But that then condemns the commuting population to a basement for another, however many
Fair
decades.
enough. All right. So now let's then you've I believe effectively threw out that consideration that me as a sports fan was very concerned about. The other thing that just shocked me, because just like you said at the beginning, people don't really know what's going on in there. I was really surprised to find that it's not just dealing with Penn Station and, let's say, the post office. This is going to be the whole area is going to be redone. So let's talk about, and the idea of shutting all that down and dealing with everything that goes through there, Macy's across the street and everything else. This is a major thing. What are your main concerns about the proposal as it stands now?
Well, having gone to college in the Bronx and actually having seen Robert Moses speak at Fordham in his last year, 1979, and having traveled on the Cross Bronx Expressway,
Not very fast.
my major concern is that demolishing the neighborhood that surrounds Penn Station is not how things are done these days. That is very much a throwback to Robert Moses era urban renewal.
Oh.
Declare a neighborhood blighted and run everybody out of town. And it hasn't worked. It's had very deleterious effects, and it's very unfair to the residents that live there, the small businesses that are there, the churches that are there, the Capuchin friars there. And you don't have to do it that way. You can have the best of old and new. The Vornado company that is the principal developer pushing for this, they own plenty of nondescript post-war one-story buildings in the area. If you want to develop them, have at it, but you can leave some of the great things that are there behind, including the people. And if you look at Bryant Park as an example, you have a big Bank of America tower at one side, you
Right.
have an older hotel on the other side. That area has really, it cleaned up because the park cleaned up. They didn't tear everything down when Bryant Park was a problem and then start over. And I think there's a much more organic, sensitive way you could deal with this community and wind up with the best of both worlds. Tearing everything down and running across Bronx Expressway through it, or that type of urban renewal, it has not worked. It's problematic.
And so in order to do that, you need a developer or a whole development. I mean, this is not a small thing. It's not a developer. There's going to be a lot of people involved. You need somebody who's sensitive to the nuances of all those things, whether it be businesses, whether it be buildings, et cetera, to really carve out something, as opposed to just say what you said, urban renewal, wipe it out and put up new stuff. Right? Am I understanding
Yes,
that's
yes.
where are we at in terms of let's just say that there are a lot of people, and I haven't measured it. It's not a Bronx issue that I get involved in, but let's say there are a number of people and entities that agree with you. What has to be done now? Is it literally knocking on Governor Hochul's door and saying, look, you better take another look at this? Or is this, to some degree, like so many other developments in New York City, a runaway freight train?
It's a runaway freight train that has been slowed considerably and does
Okay.
not have a true go forward strategy. The governor's plan that was approved by the Public Authorities Control Board a few weeks back, it was actually a very modest approval. They wanted the whole thing approved. It was not. And now they have a 9-step where you'll have to come in with different building lots and get them approved one by one. And so there's a lot of room for negotiation and for modifications to be made. We still think that's a silly way to proceed. They really should withdraw the plan. It's a bad plan, and the alternatives are far superior. So is it a runaway freight train? No. We haven't lost on the public awareness campaign yet, and that's growing all the time, as evidenced by you having me on this call, which we greatly appreciate.
Well, it was by
But
your
we
op-ed piece.
also will likely, with the approval of the final environmental impact statement, regrettably, we're probably going to have to get involved with litigation as well. And we actually think if we do that, we will have good chances in this. And the reason we say that is this huge project, which impacts the whole region and involves the gateway tunnels and involves tearing down the
Oh, it
neighborhood.
involves the center of New York City. I
Yeah,
mean, please.
they've cut it into 4 different pieces, and so it's like a game of musical chairs. Like if you're commenting on one chair, they're saying, "Oh, no, you need to be over in this chair or that chair," and then they're building the station before they've even figured out what the tracks should look like. And so there's really they've done this development first and transit later, and both the development plan and transit plans are very dated. They're from the 1950s, not the 2050. So it's still David and Goliath, but they haven't knocked us out, and we aren't
Well, yeah,
going
yes,
away anytime
there's-
soon.
yeah, there's no question about it. The Moynihan Station is gonna, the renovations done there over there is gonna stay as as it is. I mean,
Well, we
you
think
like that?
we think Moynihan, we're net are there things I would have done differently? Yes, but I would give it a B plus, and some people would
Okay,
think
that's
I'm not
fair.
being charitable. I would say that Michael Evans, the person who had the late Michael Evans, who was lost by suicide, who had a lot to do with that happening and really willed it to happen. It is a great thing, and I give him an A plus. But I think what we should learn from that is you can adaptively reuse buildings in the area to great effect, including the Penn Power Station that's on 31st Street, or to even think about, well, why not build a great station across the street? If people really love this, the same way they love Grand Central, they love Grand Central more because it's an even finer building. But why are we talking about keeping people in a subterranean version of today's Port Authority bus terminal and trying to sell them on the fact that it's really nice?
We're almost out of time. I want to ask one more thing, which is sensitive to Bronx people, because we've seen this all the time. Because you mentioned environmental impact statements. My experience in covering that and in talking about all those things here in the Bronx is that there's plenty of words you could use. They're baloney. They write stuff in these environmental impact statements that are simply not true. And when you said there's going to be litigation here, that's where you got to go, because whatever environmental impact statement it is, they're almost always designed to push a project forward, not to say this is a reason why we got to be careful.
So
I see you smiling. So I've been around too long.
I'll give you a short answer because I know you're almost out of time, but I quoted at rallies. Martin Luther King said, "A lie cannot last forever." And there are a lot of lies in this project, and we're going to make sure that they all have a short shelf life.
And that's a great a comment to end on, especially for the people of the Bronx, because we listen. I've been covering this stuff for decades, and we've just seen these environmental impact statements. I'm saying you just can't be saying that because it's just not true. Anyway, Sam Turvey, I hope we're going to continue this dialogue. Having you on the program has been a treat, and you'll come back and we'll talk more about Penn Station or other projects that you're involved in.
I am honored by my Bronx roots, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. I love the Bronx. Thank you so much.
Great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sam Turvey. We're going to change gears. We're going to go to my good friend Bob Kappstatter, who is a photojournalist. You know him, former editor of the New York Daily News. And so we'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I am thrilled that my old buddy is here. And I mean old because if it's a long time, not of course referring to
Indeed.
his age. That's right. Bob Kappstatter, people in the Bronx know him as Cappy. Nice to have you with us.
Nice to be back for the umpteenth time.
Yep, nobody's counting.
Yeah.
But for people who don't know, Bob Kappstatter, a longtime Daily News reporter, editor, and columnist, currently a photojournalist and travel writer. He also is a longtime friend of mine, as I've indicated. And so it's nice to see you. Talk to me about taking pictures. You take, and I see them on your Facebook page and Instagram and everywhere you are. You have converted your media work really to photography.
Pretty much. I'm also doing travel writing. I just did a piece that ran. I'm a contributing writer at New York Lifestyles magazine
Right.
now, doing travel and restaurant reviews. That's a tough job, I gotta tell you.
And he's out to
But
here.
yeah, but photography. I've said it before. I did double major in journalism school, but then I found out cameras they're kind of heavy. Reporter's pad and a pen, kind of light. So I went that way. But
So it was a,
always had a passion for photography.
but
Got away from it during my reporting days, but now I'm back in it full time,
so
and it's just a
let's
passion.
let's start here with an archival photo, which is when I saw it, that
Yeah.
was what made me say, "Hey, I ought to call Cappy and bring him back on the show." You were around during the time when Son of Sam,
Oh yes.
unfortunately, was murdering people, and so let's take a look at this photo. This is interviewing Bobby Violante, who is one of the victims of
Right.
Son of Sam.
He
So
was
for
Son of Sam's last shooting victims.
Wow. For people who don't know, I mean, there are people younger than us. You may not believe it, but it's true. Why don't you recount a little bit about who Son of Sam was and what this was and why this is such a significant photograph?
Well, I can't recall the victim count at this point. It was at least eight, 10 people.
Wow.
He was a postal worker at the main Bronx post office, and he started this reign of terror. Obviously, he was a wacko. He was taking commands from his neighbor's dog,
From his
just
neighbor's dog, yeah.
nutsy stuff.
And
Um,
he,
but I mean, he had the city terrorized.
he
Young women,
basically would sneak up on young
yeah,
lovers in many
yes,
cases who were like in their cars and shoot them,
yeah.
brutally
Now,
murder 'em.
yeah, and now Bobby Violante was on a date that night with Stacy Moskowitz in
Yes.
Brooklyn at a park down in Bath Beach, and Sam came up on them, fired. Stacy died a few days later in the hospital. Bobby lost vision in his left eye. Um, and this photo, I'm doing an exclusive interview with him. He's sitting with his father over at Kings County Hospital. Um, I forget how I got the exclusive interview, but we got it. So,
Did he
and
did he
he went up to become a postal worker too, strangely enough.
That is strangely
And
enough. And so he was okay. Did he say anything of like of significance that made you go, "Oh,"
it's
like,
been so many
oh, you don't
years.
remember? All right. I guess we could look up the Daily News archives and find out what it was. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of tough. But and Sam is still in prison. He's
David
69 years old
Berkowitz
now.
is his name, of course.
Yeah, it's David Berkowitz from
He
Yonkers.
claims to be reformed, but as far as
He's
I'm
found
concerned,
Jesus and the whole
yeah, I'm sure he did.
routine.
Yeah,
So
he's found anything that would help him get out of jail for the rest of
there
his
you
life.
go. There you
Um,
go.
so
Okay.
the other thing I want
So
to ask, and we'll start off with Caesar of the Dirty Ones in Brooklyn, and you'd have a number of these photos.
yeah.
These guys let you they were proud and let you take their photo.
Yeah, it started. I was at the Morrison Avenue Festival a couple of years ago, and a bunch of them were up there, and I took their photo, and they were happy to have their group photo shot. And this motorcycle crew is in Brooklyn on a route that I sometimes take home. So one day I stopped by and I said, "Hey, I think I got a picture of some of your guys. Take a look at this on my cell phone." And we started. I said, "Listen, I'd love to take pictures of you guys." They said,
And
"Yeah,
and
come on
so
by." So
we're gonna
I've been working with these guys for almost 2 years now.
wow. And so I
And
want to
I
just
don't know
run.
where I'm going with it. I don't know what it's going to come about, but I'm enjoying the photography.
And
Maybe
it's
some. do a
it's
book or a magazine piece. I don't know. We'll see.
it's amazing because the black and white works very well. Do you shoot them in
Yeah.
color and then convert to black and white, or do you shoot and then it's black and white?
Well,
Well, I
for
guess now with
many,
digital technology, it's easy to convert it to black and white.
yeah, but sometimes converting from color to black and white, you lose a certain quality.
Oh,
But a bunch of years ago, somebody put out a challenge for black and white shooting, and I discovered, hey, you know what? Black and white, especially with when it comes to people shots,
yeah,
it has more
prof.
impact. It's more
Yeah.
dramatic. So I choose. I usually set my camera for black and white if I know I'm going to be shooting these guys or
So
others.
let's just go through it. So there's the brass knuckles guy, uh,
Oh yeah, that's Ness.
and I'm sure that they're probably incredibly nice to be with, but they don't look like they look rather imposing in
Well,
those photographs.
they can be intimidating if they have to be. Let's put it that
Um,
way.
they, I,
You know,
they are,
listen, some of these guys they've done jail time,
I'm sure.
but
Uh,
most of them, they got married, they found Jesus, whatever. They got
wow.
steady jobs during the week.
And so
It's funny. Yeah.
no, I'm
Well,
just going to
let me.
say they.
I asked Ness, let's do a picture of you with your rings. So
Yeah.
I said, show
So
them up
yeah,
to the camera.
I want to move
And
ahead. So we've got
yeah,
Ram.
I got
We'll
to give you
show.
his quote. Let me just give you his quote. He said, brass knuckles are illegal in New York
Yeah,
City.
yeah. Yeah. But I just, by
That's
the
why they
way,
wear the rings.
yeah. By the
Decoration
way,
and defense.
so there's
Okay,
also
anyway.
Ram, who's got more tattoos than you could imagine.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. And
then,
Ram's he's a pussy cat. I love
yeah, I'm
Ram.
sure he
We're
is.
buddies.
But they like the image.
So,
Listen, I'm not gonna
he's one
prejudge
of my favorite
anybody.
ones.
You got the Williamsburg crew from the Dirty Ones. Uh,
Yeah, this was a celebration night, and I said, "Come on, guys, look as mean as you can."
yeah, it doesn't
And
take
they
it's not that very difficult. Then there's I want to go through them. There's Ivan and Jace who are with the Dirty Ones, and then you
Yeah,
have the
that's
guys.
just a picture I just grabbed. These guys love to hug. I mean, it's masculine, embracing,
It's a thing of
macho.
beauty.
So, yeah.
And then of course sitting in front of I guess what is that their headquarters or
Oh, that's
something
in
like
front of
that.
their headquarters. Yeah, I was just, I was hanging with them one Saturday, and I walk out and I see all these guys are sitting. They're all on their cell phones. So I ran out into the street before with the red light, and I grabbed that shot. It was just
But
such a perfect shot.
this is really a gallery exhibit, really. I think of all
Oh,
those.
thank you.
Anyway, I do want to move it ahead to some of the Brooklyn shots. I thought it was
Okay.
you sent it to us and you called it "cute dog." I mean, I didn't think
Well,
that was
yeah, I
fair
mean,
to the
come on, what else can
people.
you call that? What else do you see in it? I just saw a cute dog in that photo,
There's a couple of people walking down the block.
Yeah,
The Coney Island picture, the woman with the lips, that is the funniest thing I ever saw. It's adorable.
that was amazing. I just grabbed that shot so fast and prayed that it can. And her husband was going with the hand, no pictures. And then I
Oh
said,
yeah, right. He's in the background. He's like, no, 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 no.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
which brings up the point. Aside from the dirty ones, but when you walk around, we're going to see a couple of others in Coney Island.
yeah.
You get pictures of people that I'm like, if I was there, people would punch me out. How do you do it?
You go by vibes. Some people, I'll have the camera ready and preset so I can just go up like that and grab it real fast, bang bang, 2 or 3 shots.
And
Other
nobody complains.
No, I
Wow.
think once or twice some guy came over and said, "Hey, let me see what you shot in that camera." I said, "No, it's nothing. I'm not even good.
Yeah.
Actually, I wasn't even shooting you. I was shooting the beach. You were in the way." So,
And then
um,
the next Coney
and
Island,
sometimes I'll just walk up and I say, "Hey, you look cool, or that's a cool outfit, or I love your tattoos.
and
Can
then,
I shoot you?"
and
Yeah,
nowadays
sure.
people let you take the picture. That's great.
Listen,
The other
40,
Coney,
almost 50 years in the newspaper business. You walk up to strangers. It's what you do in the business.
it's
So
what you do.
you get the
And
bug.
I want to
So
move on because I want to get them all.
okay, yeah.
The other Coney Island picture of the two people sitting on the bench together. What I just love is it's just a slice. It's an iconic slice of life. Is
And
the way I
I
look at
don't
that.
know how to read that picture. I don't know if it's an intimidating shot or if it's a loving shot. I've never been able to really
Oh,
figure that.
I think it's a loving shot. What do you think is intimidating about it?
It's just the way the guy is holding her face, and I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
see.
Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll take a
Um,
reader poll. Everybody call into Gary. Give him your opinion.
Yeah, please do.
All right.
And then the next Coney Island shot, this woman is tattooed, and if I'm getting it right, there's like a kind of a I don't know. She's almost looks like a flower pot. She's
Well,
just
I
completely
snuck a
covered.
few photos and I went up to her and I said, "Hey, I love your tats. Can I take a shot or two?" She said, "Yeah, sure."
Well, somebody like that, we would presume wants to show off, the whole
I
bit
would
there.
presume also. Yeah, yeah.
So
So,
you went to the 4th of July and got the people on the beach watching the fireworks.
this was down on the 69th Street Pier in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Oh,
And, I'm not going to shoot firework pictures. That's technical stuff and who cares?
and you're not
So
going to get good pictures anyway.
I went around shooting the people, looking at the fireworks. And I just love this group shot of these people intensely looking, involved. And she's cuddling against him and all that stuff.
This is Americana.
People picture,
Yeah. And then we've talked about your trip to Cuba and
Right.
the pictures in Havana, but you just provided a couple here. So what are
Uh,
these two photos?
Well, a lot of photos I look at a second or a third time that I passed on using the first time, and I
Mhm.
said, well, maybe if I crop this photo down, and this photo was a larger photo. I didn't care for it, and I said, wait a minute, let me take a look. Maybe I can crop this one down, and this is what I got on the cropping, and I love it. So
It,
it's a
it,
favorite shot now.
yeah, what really sets it off is the picture of the paintbrushes on the right side there, and then the next to the last. Wow, we really got through all of them. The next to the last
Whoa,
picture
yeah,
is,
we're going
is
to make
another
it. All right.
another picture right in the street of
Yeah, this
Havana.
was. I shot this I shot this originally in black and white, and I think it works as in black and white. But then the color of it too. I just decided to let me go back to the color and see how it looks.
There you
And I
go.
like it
Looks
both
great.
ways, color and black and
And then
white.
the final one is, I think I've seen this before. This is a
Yeah,
kind of a
maybe on the
landscape.
last show. Maybe I'm trying. I was down. This is a shot I took on my last trip down to North Carolina in October, looking for foliage, which was a bad season for foliage. But
Oh, it was. Okay.
but this is my favorite. This is my
And
favorite location.
you didn't play with the colors or anything like that.
No,
Wow.
no. This is what you see, and that blueness in the mountains. That's why this is on the Blue
The
Ridge
Blue Ridge
Parkway.
Mountains. Wow. Listen, we gotta run. Bob
Okay,
Kappstatter. And
there we go.
you
We
are
did it. We got through.
did it. You're a great friend. You're a great friend and a great
Yes.
photographer. And I see your work all the time, and it's getting better and better. And you can
Hopefully.
guarantee we're going to invite you again.
Okay,
All
Gary.
right.
Always happy to
And
be
that
here.
will do it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the Bronx Buzz. We thank Sam Turvey for joining us in the first segment, Bob Kappstatter in the second segment, and we'll see you next week. Good night.